Welcome. Hopefully I'll look into it, but hoping you can hear me okay. They just started landscaping and it had just been raining. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go out in a few, but it's St. Patrick's Day today, so gotta wear my green. Oh, I hope that won't be too annoying. But I just wanted to get on and just record something to really introduce this whole thing. Um, it's crazy, but I am starting this journey of my personal health and holiness. And I realized over the past few years as I've like started and stopped, started and stopped, started and stopped, with both of them, I've just been like, gosh, like why is this so hard right now? I had a season of life where it just felt there was effort at first, but it felt almost effortless. Like it just kind of like flowed with what I was doing. And I, I just, the thing that I noticed is like it was tied to me being involved with community. So it just was like, all right, I'm in a season of life right now where that's like just a little harder. I moved states and I got married, so which is great. But my husband and I, like we have each other, but like everybody, like our friends close by, is in a different kind of season of life, where we just don't get together all the time. Church isn't as communal as it was then, and I think we're trying to like grow in that, but it just yeah, it's just like not it's just not the same right now. And I have a job where I'm literally traveling all the time and I don't work with the same people all the time. So there's no real community there, which there's benefits to that for sure. But I think the downside is like just not having that community, which I think kind of gives you sort of an accountability, but more so gives me motivation. I just was like, I gotta figure out how to provide myself accountability, but also just that communal feeling of like sharing your life and your journey. So I was like, all right, these are the two things I'm struggling with. I think this is part of the reason. And why wouldn't I want to share this journey in hopes that like it would help and inspire other people? Um, Full disclosure, I'm not perfect in any of this stuff. Clearly, I think you can just see by my double chin, my health is struggling. Um, it's struggling for me. I think some people would say I'm fine, but I definitely am obese according to all the indexes. And I don't feel like me. It's, I just, I know that I've been struggling, and a large reason that I've probably been struggling with my health is because I've been struggling with stuff that's happened and gone on in my like church slash Christian life. Um, it's very interesting how much, like, when I went through the timeline of my life, I saw how much my personal health, like, I struggle a lot with overeating, how much my personal health with, like, either overeating or being controlled was tied to, like, something going on with the church or my relationship with God or, anything like that. And so, what really bothered me was like so seasons of my life where I went through really hard things with the church and I would start to overeat. So, really, like with community, I would start to overeat and gain weight. I just was like, why do I let other people impact my personal health? So, I don't know, that's just been interesting to look at, and I'm going to deep dive that in the future. But um, yeah, I was like, this is interesting. So I'm hoping, even though I'm doing this, that it doesn't, I hope that it like resets that. Like, I think it's good to have community. I think it's good to have accountability. I think sometimes we need that. But I think what's more important is I think I want this to be like, I'm doing this to share the journey. You know what I mean? I think that's my motivation for actually being healthy. And it's not just about losing weight for me, it's about being healthy. Like, my husband and I are getting ready to like start a family, and I'm just like, my body's not in a place to carry me, let alone a baby. Like, I'm not like suffering from that much many health issues, but I'm not feeling tip top, I guess. So there's that. But yeah, so by no means am I an expert in that or in holiness at all. I don't think a lot of people could ever say that. I think we're always all on a journey. No matter how much school you've done or studying you've done, I just think holiness is a day by day, minute by minute thing, and it's not going to be like, just like my health journey is not going to be your exact blueprint for your health journey. It won't. It's just, prayerfully, it's here to inspire you. And I'm going to have mistakes, I'm going to have fails, and I'm going to have victories. Um, that it will be an inspiration for wherever you're being led. I think this kind of content too is hard to do. I don't know about you, but I've just been like really put off by a lot of Christian content lately, and I don't really want it to feel like that. But I don't know how it can't. And it's not like I'm mad at Christianity. It's just like Christians, maybe. And then not everybody. There's been a lot that I've been inspired by, but I'm like, I don't want to like shove Christianity or holiness down your throat. Like, I truly believe that we are made spiritual beings, and we have a connection to divine that we long for, and that's really what I want to pursue. And I really feel like that's part of what holiness is. Um, I think it would be really interesting to know, for whoever's watching, what your definition of holiness is, because as I looked it up, it was just like, and it's something I'm still like trying to define, and I think it just is going to take an extensive study, but like looking up just the definition within the context of scripture, like what is holiness, and like the basic definition was set apart, typically for like a divine, like religious purpose. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like, I think that's very general to me. But if like truly, if it means to be set apart, I really believe that that doesn't mean that we're all going to look the same. I think generally speaking, there are things that'll look the same, but I don't believe I'm set apart to do the same thing you're set apart to do specifically. Like, generally, yeah, to be like close to God and stuff, but and do the things the Bible says. But I do think like we're just wired to be so individual. Um, this is like kind of random, but something really interesting. I watched this video, I think Kiki Chanel or Channel, I don't know, but she does some I like her videos. I'm just like, call them out, girl. But she did one on Taylor Swift, and her whole, like, so if you're a Swiftie, you're already going to know this, but if you're not, I think you'll find it fascinating. Her Eras tour, like, I didn't realize was the eras of her. And she, to me, I was like, she's a genius artist. No matter who she really is as a person, because this Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni thing has really got me like, girl, why were you guys best friends? Her and Blake. Anyway, but what's fascinating to me is that, like, you do see this development in her change over time. Like, so she would release an album every 2 years. And the first two, really similar, but they were distinct. Um, Next to, I can't really remember. And then she just like distinctively changed to like pop, and then that more like indie, I would say personally. I don't know. She's just so multifaceted, very intriguing. And like the fact that she had a lot of intentions, like each arrow would have a distinct sound, a distinct color association, um, imageries, like all this stuff attached to them, that she would put these Easter eggs in for each of her, well, for all of her fans, for them to like associate. Like she's so intentional about that. And I'm like, I've just really like certain seasons of my life, certain colors and certain words are associated. Like, I don't know if you do like a word of the year for every new year, but I do think like we're just wired to see the associations, to have those symbolism. And this is something I'll talk about, but I grew up in a Church of Christ. I wouldn't say they're non-denominational, but generally speaking, they are. Um, but it's pretty denominational. So I grew up in a Church of Christ. Then we went to a non-denominational, and I was then back in the Church of Christ for a little while, but in flux between the two. And then most recently, over the past few years, became Catholic, and I just really saw my whole journey kind of leading up to that point, and just like who I am and how I'm wired. I just was like, man, like the symbolism, the beauty in this. And so it's been a really exciting journey. And no, I'm not here to convert you to Catholicism, but I am going to share just like my journey with that. But I do appreciate everything that I learned from a more Protestant background. And I do think that both can teach each other things. So yeah, if you are into that kind of stuff and are on a journey of health and holiness for yourself, I hope that you'll tune in and that you'll just be inspired by it. I really want this to be a community. I'm going to be invested in my comment section, which I'm just not that kind of person, but I know, like, if you know me, I take a while to get back to text messages sometimes, a lot of the time, but I really am making an intention to be invested in this because I know that I need it, and this is a community that I need. So anyway, thank you for listening, and hopefully that explains just a little bit of what's going on here. Something that I'm going to look to do is it's going to be like content of both like health and holiness, and what I really want to do over the next like 3 to 6 months is test out these certain things consistently that I've been looking to do for my health. And I'm looking for something maybe more specific than just reading the Bible with holiness. But stay tuned for, I don't know, so if you haven't heard of the Lively app, I might put something up here. I don't know. I don't do this often. My first time. The Lively app is basically a tracker for your menstrual cycle, but it also has suggestions for how to move, what to do during certain phases of your cycle, which I was looking for an app like that. And I was so glad I found it, like I think 2 years ago, maybe a year ago. And I've been tracking through it, but I've not consistently been like, all right, what is it telling me to do? Like it'll tell you to eat legumes during a certain time, or to take a bath, or do this or do that. So I'm not going to be like super strict about it, but I'm going to intentionally look at like, okay, how should I move this day? How should I and structure my life in with the phases of my cycle, and am I eating around that? And then another thing to go with my eating, since that's been my biggest struggle. I think moving, but eating is probably my biggest. I've been on Weight Watchers. I'm going to continue to do that, and it's not really that per se. Like I can share that journey with you, but I feel like that kind of tracking can be a little touchy. I'm just looking to do like whole foods, and I might do the Whole30. I do have that book, but just stressing eating whole foods. And I think that's also what the Weight Watchers app is trying to do, because a lot of the whole foods that you would eat are 0 points. And so it's kind of going to be a both and, but more like the Whole30, just a whole foods diet, which will include dairy and meat, and kind of just eliminating more processed foods. I have heard from people that when they've done, this one lady did a raw diet and she said her skin was glowing. She felt so good, but it was really hard. So I'm like, if I can incorporate that, and then I'll probably be like, oh, this week I'll just do vegetables and fruits or something. Um, I definitely want to pursue just more of a whole foods diet and do that for a while. And then, yeah, I'm still thinking about, so that's kind of all with my health, and then attached to holiness. Definitely going, so again, I I think there's a verse where Paul says, follow me as I follow Christ. Don't follow me, follow Christ. I have not been good about going to Mass. And if you're a Catholic, you know that if you miss Mass, you got to go to confession. So, oh, sometimes it's hard with my job, but for the most part, I can always get to a Mass either at the Saturday night vigil or Sunday. And I usually can get Sundays off with my job. So it's like, I've just not been great about it. But to be very transparent, I've been struggling a lot with even wanting to be a part of church in any kind of form, because I've just been so upset about things that have happened with the church that I came from, because my parents have been going through a lot, and I've just been like, this is insane, and I don't like church, and I don't want to be a part of it. But I can't, it's only hurting me to do that. So, and it felt really good to go to confession and then go to Mass, and doing that with my husband has been just, it's probably the sweetest part of our relationship. I love, I love it so much. And so going to Mass every week, I think that's part of it. And then reading my Bible every day. So if I find a devotional that I want to like test out and do, I will also like share that, and go, they'll be in my stories, just tracking, updating every day with that. But I will do like a video update when I've done it for a set amount of times, 30 days to 3 months to maybe even 6 months. I kind of have to look up how many, like I think for the whole foods diet, you're not going to see changes until after 3 months. And I'm like, maybe that applies to your spirit too. Like, sorry, I have a hair. You won't feel changes until such and such a time. Honestly, I feel changes pretty immediately. Like just even going to the Mass the other day, I'm like, I feel like a new woman. So, yeah, so stay tuned. Thank you so much for just listening, being here. I'm really going to try not to be super long-winded, even though this is kind of a long video. But it's an intro, so I'll keep them shorter in the future. Unless you like them long. I like long ones, typically. So anyway, stay tuned, and thank you so much for joining.